everybody. Welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com.
Happy Wednesday morning and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Podcast. Today is Wednesday, November 23rd. I believe that means that Thanksgiving is tomorrow. I will not be partaking because I'm in Colombia, and in Colombia they don't really care about that. In today's episode, we're going to touch on some news and updates, and then for the core content, Erik is going to dive into some of the common types of points, and he's going to cover the rules for when they expire and what you can do about that to make sure that you do not lose all of those hard-earned points. Show notes for today's episode can be found at abroaders.com/expire. First piece of news and updates we've got is a really nice promotion between Uber and American Express, but there's a couple things you want to take note of to make sure that you actually are eligible to get this deal. So Amex and Uber have teamed up between now and December 31st to get you 2 free Uber rides up to $65 each originating from select airports. So that is really, really handy for any holiday travel. There's a couple things to note here. These are select airports, so we're going to link to the article that gives some more details about this. And there is a promo code you need to enter, which is Amex Airport. And then you also need to pay with an American Express card. Prepaid cards aren't eligible, so just make sure you comb through the fine print on this promotion, but it's really nice. So 2 free rides, up to $65 each. So, I mean, that's up to $130 on free Uber ride thanks to Amex and Uber. So check out the show notes, abroaders.com/expire, if you're interested in that, and you can learn a little bit more about the details. Next piece of news and updates has to do with American Airlines making some changes to their status and being fast-tracked. So I'm going to touch on this just really quick. Essentially, all they're doing is they're attaching some spending to getting status, and then if you put some spend on one of their co-branded credit cards, like the Barclay Aviator card, you can actually get fast-tracked on your status, and you don't need to spend as much on actually buying flights to get status if you put money on the co-branded credit card. Right now, there's no option to get a Barclay card that's co-branded with AA, but in January, that should open up. We've talked about that before, how they're going to have a new offer because they just inked a new deal with those guys, so there should be a chance to get AA co-branded credit card through Barclays starting around January. So this is similar to Delta. Delta did this where they allowed you to fast track your status by putting a lot of spend on one of the co-branded credit cards. This isn't a huge area of focus of ours because typically we're geared towards more just actually getting flights than finding ways around status, because it's becoming more and more tricky to find any real loopholes to get status. You kind of just have to travel a lot and buy a lot of flights. The big opportunities with status that we still care about would be status matches. So if you do happen to have status, that's something a lot of programs will do. They will offer you a match. So for those of you that are AA loyalists, do beware that there's some changes coming. Once again, you can check out the link in the show notes, but you will have an opportunity to spend your way out of some stuff on a credit card that has to do with not buying flights, so that could be a nice option for you. Next few pieces of news are going to have to do with credit cards, and the first one is the Citi Thank You Premier bonus return. So that is 40,000 points after 3,000 spend. A couple things you want to be aware of here. You cannot get this bonus if you opened or closed a Citi Premier card previously. The $95 annual fee is not waived. A couple other notes: you get 3x points on travel, including gas, 2x point on dining and entertainment, and then 1x on everything else. We'll have a link to that card in the show notes if you are interested in getting that. The next piece is about credit cards, but it has to do with you referring your friends to sign up for credit cards. So American Express has a referral program right now that you can get 25,000 bonus points for each 2 people you refer to apply for the American Business Platinum card. So this is kind of niche. So if you're a business owner and you got some buddies that look to you for which cards to get, maybe if it makes sense for them to get the Amex Business Platinum card, you can tell them, hey, this is a good card. Also, let me use my referral link, and then you'll get the bonus. So 25,000 bonus points for each 2 people refer to the card. This is capped at 55,000 points. So this is nothing that's really worth spending a whole lot lot of time on. It's just if you actually know somebody that kind of, I could imagine out there's a lot of people that that listen to the podcast or that know quite a bit about points and miles, and they've got some of their entrepreneur buddies that lean on them to be the hub, be the source for their information. So that would be an option for you to get some Amex points if you're already be referring the card to somebody anyways. Final piece of news, we've got a lot of Amex stuff today, but there's a current promotion with Amex offers where you get 3x points on Amazon purchases. So just to remind everybody, these Amex offers are not universal. It often depends on which card you have. It sometimes can be Target or not. So if you do have any Amex cards, you can log into your account. You can check out the My Offers, the Amex offers, and give it a peek because you may be targeted for 3x points on Amazon purchases, which is also really nice because Amazon means you're probably going to get a good deal on something. You're going to earn 3x points, and you do not have to be in a shopping mall or you don't have to be in retail hell during the holiday season when you are trying to buy gifts for your loved ones. So once again, check that out, Amex offers, and Amex offers is a pretty consistent thing. That's something you should really, if you have Amex cards and you're into this stuff, you should really check that out at least once a month. There's been a lot of really valuable deals. Erik and I have saved a lot of money taking advantage of Amex offers, and I recommend you check it out. Next piece we've got here has to do with a transfer bonus, and I promise you guys, American Express did not pay me to talk about them so much, but what we've got a transfer bonus transferring Amex points to the Spanish carrier Iberia. So the typical rate is you transfer 250 Amex points and you only get 200, so it's less than 1-to-1. And now what they've got is it's going to be more than 1-to-1. You transfer 250 Amex points, you'll get 300 Iberia Avios. There's a couple things to note about this, depending on how long you've had your account, that could impact how much value you can get out of this because Iberia Avios can be transferred to British Airways Avios. So this could be a clever way for you to get Amex points to British Airways at a transfer bonus. There's a couple things that you need to note. Your Iberia account and your British Airways account need to be open for at least 90 days. So this isn't something you can just open up right now and then dump your Amex points to Iberia and then Iberia to British Airways. So that's something to keep in mind. However, if you do have active Iberia and British Airways accounts that you've had for 90 days, there's definitely some good. It's a good option, especially if you're comfortable with British Airways and you know a couple of their sweet spots. This could be really nice. Iberia is not a bad program, but it's something that you would want to look into exactly how you'd want to redeem these points before you do it. Erik and I still really like Amex points. They're still really valuable. They've got a lot of good 1-to-1 transfer partners. Erik and I have been getting more value out of Singapore lately, which is another transfer partner of Amex. Air France is a good one. Delta, depending on what their chart is looking like. So if you think that you could get big value out of this transfer, go for it, but don't do it just because it's a promotion and a good deal. Only do it if you've got something in mind. All right, we've got two more things before I hand you off to Erik, and he lets you know about points expiring and what you can do to save them. So the first thing here is with United. A lot of you may have heard that United has recently announced a new basic economy fare. So this is going to be super bare bones. I've heard a lot of people in our space say both things. I've heard people say, this is just the way that United is going to be able to charge the same and give less. And another person, I've heard, a lot of other people say, this is just something United is doing so they can compete a little bit more with the low-cost carriers so they can actually provide the service at a lower cost. So this is going to be very bare bones. It's going to be very much like the deep discount airlines, this fare class. They're even going to ban full-size carry-on bags. You're not going to be able to pick your seat. It's going to be kind of like that. Delta rolled out something similar not long ago. They didn't seem to get the negative press that United's getting. United's getting kind of bashed on this. So I guess the key takeaway here is we just got to see what the prices come out to, because if United really does strip things down, but they also make it really cheap, then, that's good for people. People can get cheaper flights that, get from point A to point B and don't need the frills. If this is just a way for United to try to get fat on their margins and charge the same and give less, then I don't think that's going to be a very good move for them, because they're not a very popular airline as it is right now. So that's just something to keep an eye out. Check out more details in the show notes. And now the final piece we've got here that would be, I guess Erik and I would categorize this in our random news and crazy traveler update, is If any of you have heard about Elon Musk's Hyperloop, it's not new technology. Jacques Fresco was talking about this stuff, I believe, in the 1960s, but it appears that the United Arab Emirates is going to be bold and actually give the damn thing a chance. And so what their plan is to have the Hyperloop between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So this is normally about a 2-hour journey, and they're claiming that the Hyperloop is going to get people from Dubai to Abu Dhabi in 12 minutes. That is remarkable. I'd be really curious to see how this whole thing works, because the U.S. could really use something like this, but we're afraid to invest in stuff like that, and I think there's some other negative forces working against it. But it'll be really interesting to see if this thing is as good as everyone says it is, because that's game-changing. Cutting a 2-hour journey down to 12 minutes is pretty effing cool. So that is all I've got for the news and updates today. Once again, show notes are at broaders.com/expire. And now I'm going to hand it over to Erik, and he's going to talk to you about those common types of points that you all probably have and what to do about the expiration of them.
Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about point expiration, and most importantly, how you can avoid having your hard-earned points expire. So most frequent flyer programs require some sort of activity within a predetermined amount of time. It usually doesn't have to be a specific amount of activity. You don't have to earn a certain number of points. You just need to have your account balance change in most cases. So often, if you purchase something through an online shopping portal and earn some points that way, that's a way to reset the expiration. You can also use transferable currencies to reset balances by transferring 1,000 points, which is usually the minimum number that you're allowed to transfer. Sometimes you can credit a transaction from a partner program. So for example, you may be able to use a car rental as a way to reset your account balance if that car rental program is partners with the frequent flyer program. So for example, Avis partners with American, and you can earn American miles when you rent a car with Avis. And so that could be a way to not have to jump through any hoops and just credit a car rental. It's especially helpful if you don't do a ton of activity like that, but you just need to reset that balance. Then lastly, there's the option to buy the minimum amount of miles, which can be sort of expensive. Often the minimum purchase is 1,000 miles, sometimes even 2,000, and that can be somewhere between, say, $25 and $50. And last but not least, you can donate miles, which is often a great way to help a good cause, and also allows you to reset your account balance by giving away some miles. Your balance will change, and that should reset the expiration. Now, the important thing to remember is that every program is different. So it's really important to double check the program and their rules. Just for a couple of examples, Delta and JetBlue don't expire their points at all. So you don't have to worry about it with those two programs. And Singapore is on the opposite side of the spectrum, where your points expire after a certain period of time no matter what. I believe that's the case with ANA as well. So the rest of the programs tend to be somewhere in the middle, where the account activity that I was talking about just a second ago comes into play. Now, before we dive further into any of the specifics, I wanted to point out that the transferable currencies do not necessarily expire in the same way that the program-specific types of points can expire. So I wanted to run through those examples. Starting out, American Express membership rewards points do not expire as long as your credit card account is in good standing and active. So there's no requirement to have any activity, although it's a great idea to use your membership rewards earning cards to continue to build up more points. But as long as you have the account open, you're not going to lose those points. Same idea with Chase Ultimate Rewards. They don't expire as long as you have an active account in good standing. And with Citibank, the points generally do not expire either as long as you have an account. And the one exception there is that Citi lets you share points with someone else. They're one of the most flexible programs in the sense that they allow you to just transfer points to someone else who's not necessarily a card holder or related to you, which is not the same case with Chase and Amex. And the one catch is if you do share your thank you points with someone else, they have to be used within 90 days. Otherwise, they will expire. And for points in your own thank you account, so the ones that you haven't shared with other people, Citi lists on their website for thank you rewards that those points do actually expire expire after 3 years. We haven't really seen that being enforced with folks that are continuing to build up their thank you points balance, but that is what Citi's published, and the best way to verify your expiration date for any thank you points is by logging into your account online with Citi, and it'll tell you right next to your points balance if you have any expiration to worry about for your account. Now, the last transferable currency is Starwood Preferred Guest, and I wanted to mention this one in a little bit more detail because Starwood is unlike the other transferable currencies. It's sort of more like a co-branded card with the Starwood Hotel program, where your points will expire eventually after 12 months if you don't have any account activity. So the good news is that account activity for Starwood is really easy to generate. You can transfer some of your points to any of their partner programs, and that should reset. Or you can always stay at a hotel and earn SPG points that way, or earn through spending on your Starwood Preferred Guest card. So there's a bunch of ways to prevent that, but you should be aware that SPG, unlike Chase and Amex, does expire after 12 months. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to do is direct you guys to a resource that we've got in our show notes. We've got the most common frequent flyer programs listed and their expiration policy. So it's a really easy way for you to just check in and see what the expiration date should be. But we've actually want to take that a step further because there's a great tool that we use all the time from Award Wallet that lets you track all of your loyalty points and specifically the expiration date. The one caveat here is that the tracking of your points is totally free, but Award Wallet actually does charge for expiration. But Award Wallet actually does charge for expiration notifications. You have to purchase the Award Wallet Plus, which you can also get as an Abroaders premium member. So if you join as an Abroaders member, we'll upgrade you to the Award Wallet Plus automatically. But otherwise, if you just want those expirations, it's pretty cheap, and you can sign up on Award Wallet's website to make sure that you've got an upgraded account where they'll let you know about the expiration date for all of your frequent flyer currencies. Okay, so last up, I want to make sure we cover what you can do if you've already seen some of your hard-earned points expire. So some programs will allow you to purchase the points back. Obviously, you want to do the math beforehand and make sure that you're not paying more than the points would be worth to you. But there are some really good examples, some sort of reasonable policies. Alaska is a good example where they just charge a fee of $75 to reinstate your expired points. So if you're talking about a few thousand points, it's definitely not worth it. But if you're talking about 30 or 40,000 points, it's definitely worthwhile paying a flat fee to reinstate those. And then moving forward, you just want to make sure that you don't ever get in that position by generating that small account activity, donating miles, or doing some sort of qualifying partner activity like we talked about a few minutes ago. So bottom line, if your points are expiring, you definitely want to either use them or do something small to keep those points active. And keep in mind that the transferable currencies are a great asset that makes it super easy to take care of these sorts of things. And the last thing I wanted to point out is that you need to be aware if you are scrambling to generate some activity, you want to make sure you're aware of how long it takes that activity to post. So some of the examples that we mentioned, in particular examples of like renting a car and doing some sort of transaction with a partner portal or with a partner company, those points can take a little while to post. And so if you see your points are going to expire within a few weeks, you may want to do something that has a little quicker impact. Often donating points is something that gets reflected on your account right away. And the most surefire one is to transfer in points from one of the transferable currencies. If that's an option, typically those transfers are instant or happen in a few days. So that can make sure that you get in under the wire if your points are going to expire soon.
Hey, Broaders, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback to Erik or AJ at abroaders.com.